என்ன சொல்லணும்
Welcome to another episode of Peanut Talks. Happy New Year to all our subscribers, to the 18 of you that are subscribed since last year. Why are you laughing?
That's 18, it's an accomplishment.
Thanks, bro.
Very proud of you.
We have 500 views accumulated over the 3 videos posted in the last year.
An ocean's made up of several cups of water.
All of you people that supported us last year, thank you very much. And also, I think there's been a little bit of misconception that this channel's like gonna be talking about like a lot of cricket stuff and all that. So this year, as like the first episode, I'm introducing a new segment called Hypothetical Talks, and I'm very glad that my first guest for this episode will be replacing Sachin, is Karthik. Thanks for joining us, Karthik.
No problem, bro.
In a nutshell, for Karthik is like one of those guys, like there's only like two things. Either you like whatever he says, like you'll be like, oh wow, like what a smartest thing you ever heard, like oh like where does he even think of this stuff from? Or it'll be like, bro, what kind of cookery is this guy on about? Like, you know, like some people like look at his face, like hear what is coming from his mouth, and they're like, yeah, I can't talk to this guy anymore. So I don't know which part of Karthik is going to come out today, but yeah.
Even after all these years, I don't know which part of that you see every day.
So Karthik, again, thanks for joining.
No problem.
Have you watched the movie 96?
In all honesty, I've watched it intermittently. I think I know the crux of the movie, but I don't remember it scene by scene.
Okay, so basically, alright, just for all these people that don't know and you don't know as well, the synopsis of the movie is like, there's like two people who used to be like, can't say in love, but they had like a massive crush on each other during their school life.
They were like high school flames.
Yeah, high school flame. Yeah, like that. But they never said it to each other. But like it was like this cute schoolboy schoolgirl love story. But it just never ended up going further due to circumstances. And then 10, 15 years later, or even 20 years later, at a school reunion, Trisha, the actress, flies overseas in the hopes that she can come and meet her past love interest. And then one thing leads to another. She ends up spending a couple of nights with him, or maybe one night even.
Wait, I think you're kind of giving the wrong impression. They don't actually do anything physically.
No, okay, alright.
They just spend time together.
They spend time going through memories and talk about what ifs after that.
Yeah.
Okay? And pretty much go to a point where like it gets a bit emotional, where like they think like, you know, oh, I could have spent my life with you kind of thing. Okay, alright? So that's pretty much what 96 was about.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, off late, I saw a reel on Instagram that the director of 96 wants to take a part 2 for that movie. Okay, alright? Which, like a lot of people, I was like, oh wow, yeah, I'll be hyped to watch this part 2, because when I watched 96 the first time, I was like, oh, it's such a like sweet, sad love story, but like it was a very moving film. I felt good watching it. But then off late, I started thinking, if I was Trisha's husband in that movie, how would I have felt?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So basically my wife has gone overseas. Even though they don't say it explicitly, she has gone overseas. So that...
Wait, did she go overseas for the reunion, or did she go overseas with the intention of meeting her ex-lover?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They don't say that explicitly,
okay.
But I assume that she went there so that she could bump into her.
Yeah.
Again, not ex-lover, but like the one that she had like a massive.
Yeah, the one that got away. Kind of. Yeah, sure.
Now, Karthik, very simple. நாளைக்கே உங்க girlfriend வந்து ஒரு பொண்டாட்டி வந்து, and she's like, நீ போயிட்டு ஒரு with her ex, she's spending like a couple of nights, and then she's coming back. ஒரு புருஷனா, how would you feel, bro?
கேக்குற கேள்வியே ஒரு ஆன்சர் எதிர்பார்த்துட்டு கேக்குற மாதிரி இருக்கு. I don't think நீ மீன் பண்றது லைக் நான் என்ன பண்ணுன்றது த்ரிஷா பண்ணது கரெக்டா தப்பா நீ கேட்க கரெக்டா?
I guess, yeah.
நீ கேட்கற you said you wouldn't be okay. Hello.
I'm not saying I wouldn't be okay. I'm asking.
You're asking me, okay.
Yeah.
Look, okay, I understand why the husband would feel upset, okay? But if you really think about what actually happened, all Trisha did was she went out of her way to get closure, right?
Okay.
When you date someone or marry someone, right, it's normal for them to have had a partner in their life. It's normal for them to have loved someone before. I think that's quite normal in this day and age. Would you agree with me so far?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people have never had like their first love become anything more.
Very rarely, and like nor should it, right? Like it's much more likely that
No?
you know, nor should it. Like you don't necessarily have to marry the first person you fall in love with. It's more than likely you get into a relationship, like you figure out a lot about yourself, about the other person. It'll likely end, and you'll probably go into your next relationship being a more whole person and knowing more about you and like what you want, right? So we've already established it's very unlikely that we first date for that kind of thing. So அப்படி இருக்கும்போது like I think it's very normal for you to have like to require some sort of closure about your previous relationships in some way. Even if I'm in a healthy relationship now, there's a good chance that I'll still require a bit more closure about the relationship I've had before. And I think that if you go and say like illa நீ ஒருத்தனை date பண்ணா நீ like 100% அப்படி இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா I think that's a bit like fantasy, right? Human emotions aren't that simple. In one way or another, like it's nothing wrong with having these fleeting thoughts. And Trisha went out of her way to seek closure for that thoughts, and at the end of the day, she didn't actually cheat on her husband. There are some things she did in that movie that I remember that I'd be like, okay, this is probably pushing the boundary too far. But as a whole, I think going back, seeking closure, while staying loyal to a relationship, and coming back with that closure, allowed both of them to move forward. Would you agree?
Allowed to move forward, right? I agree with whatever you said. Yes, she didn't cheat on her husband and all that, at least from a physical point of view. Sure. She didn't, nothing happened. I think they barely even touched each other. Okay. But again, I'm putting myself in a situation, put yourself in a situation as well, and whoever's watching it as well. If now, like you know, she hasn't gone there with any ill intention. Okay, your wife or like, let's say whatever way you your boyfriend or whoever has gone that way, and they're like, yeah, I went to meet my ex so I can get closure, like how you're saying. Or not even ex, again, it's not an ex, you can't even classify it as an ex, right?
For all intents and purposes, she was in love with the guy, and
yeah,
he counts as an ex.
Okay, alright, there. So, in that situation, I just saying, I went there for closure. Or at least he's finding about it. So like, let's say, my version of part 2 starts with Trisha's husband opening the door, be like, where you went? And she's like, I went to meet my ex in Chennai. Well, how would you feel? How would he feel?
He's with every right to feel upset because my whole premise of what Trisha doing not be wrong lies in the fact that human emotions are unpredictable, right? You don't control how you feel. You can feel many different ways about many different things, and a lot of the time it's not in your hands. We like to think we're in control, but a lot of the time we're not. Okay, well, அவன் அப்செட்டாக ஃபீல் பண்ணுறது தப்பு கிடையாது, நியாயம் தான். இந்த பாயிண்ட்டை வந்து த்ரிஷா சொல்கிறா இந்த மாதிரி வந்து இல்லை நான் இவனை லவ் பண்ணி முடிச்சுட்டேன், ஏதோ ஒரு ரீசனுக்காக வேலை செய்யல, ஒரு கொஞ்ச நாளாக எனக்கு வந்து அவனை பற்றி லைக் தாட்ஸ் வருது, அதனால நான் வந்து ஓகே நல்லா நினச்சி நான் கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டு அந்த பார்ட் ஆஃப் மை லைஃப் வந்து எனக்கு லைக் ஒரு முடிவு கிடைச்சிட்டு ஓகே அதனால நான் திருப்பியும் உங்க கூட தான் வந்திருக்கேன். லைக் நான் it's not about the choice between him and at least this is like my idealistic interpretation of what Trisha would be doing.
Idealistic
interpretation of what Trisha would be doing. Like if Trisha பண்றது வந்து கரெக்டாக தப்பான்னு சொல்றது, like நீ புருஷ எபிசோட்ல வந்து பார்த்துன்னு வச்சுக்கோயேன், அவ போய் அவ எக்ஸ பார்த்தது தப்பு கிடையாது, பட் அவ எக்ஸ பார்த்துட்டு இந்த மாதிரி இல்ல நான் என் இருக்கிற ரிலேஷன்ஷிப்ல சந்தோஷமா இல்லைன்னு அவ சொல்ல வந்தானா அங்க தப்பு. ஓகேவா? because that's degrading her actual relationship now. பட் இல்ல நான் க்ளோஷர் பார்க்க போனேன், அவங்க கூட பார்த்தேன், நான் அவங்க கூட பேசினேன், எனக்கு தேவை இன்ஃபர்மேஷனை கலெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன், அந்த வாட்டர் நான் வந்து எப்படி சொல்றது மென்டலா நான் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணிட்டு அந்த க்ளோஷர் நான் வாங்கிக்கிட்டேன், அது ஜஸ்ட் that's all it is, it's just a water நடந்து போனதுக்கு நான் வந்து என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு பார்க்க போனேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா in a way I'm like I'd still be upset because that's human, right? But I could see the logic behind it. அவ வந்துட்டு இல்ல நான் ரியலைஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன், நான் ரொம்ப கேவலமான ரிலேஷன்ஷிப்ல எப்படி இருக்கேன், நான் அங்க தான் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருப்பேன்னு சொன்னா I think that's the end of the relationship. This is like the end of their healthy relationship with like Trisha and husband. This is all like based on like if I was the husband, this is what I'd say. Yeah,
so you're saying if Trisha came back to her and be like உங்க கூட இருக்கிறது பிடிக்கலங்க அவங்க கூட இருக்கணும்னு சொன்னா
அப்படி கூட சொல்ல தேவையில்ல, உங்க கூட இருந்ததுல நான் அவங்க கூட சந்தோஷமா இருந்திருப்பேன், அவ ஃபீல் பண்ணாலே லைக் அந்த பிரச்சனை முடிஞ்சிச்சு. அவ ஃபீல் பண்ணாலே but she didn't say that to her husband. அவ வந்து ஸ்டேட் பத்தி அப்படி சொல்லி what could have been நம்ம யோசிச்சா இல்ல என் புருஷன் வேஸ்ட்னா சொன்னா எனக்கு நான் வேஸ்ட் சொல்ல, பட் அவ உட்கார்ந்து
it was visible. அவங்க உட்காந்து அழுது she was crying about a what if.
Did she cry about the opportunity that went away or about the life that she was in now?
அதனாலதான் டேரக்டர் என்ன சொல்லுங்க.
அதான் டேரக்டர் அதான் சொல்றேன். That's அங்கதான் டேரக்டர் வச்ச நியூவான்ஸ். புரியுதா? நீ ஒரு புருஷனா இருக்கும்போது
டேரக்டர் தெரியுமா?
தரலதான் நம்ம எடுத்துப்பாரு நம்பிக்கை தான். At least this is what I understand from it, right? த்ரிஷா பண்ணது கரெக்டா தப்ப நம்ம ஏன் உட்காந்து பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். உனக்கு ஆக்சுவலி த்ரிஷாவோட இன்டென்ஷன்ஸ் தெரியாது, எனக்கும் தெரியாது. நீ பார்க்கும்போது நீ இன்டர்பிரேட் பண்றது தான். நான் சொல்லலாம் இல்ல த்ரிஷாவோட இன்டென்ஷன்ஸ் வந்து அவ she was grieving the loss of something she had, not necessarily the position she's in now. அப்படியும் பார்க்கலாம். எல்லாம் வந்து இப்ப என் லைஃப் சந்தோஷமா இல்லையா வந்து சந்தோஷமா இருந்திருக்கலாம், இப்படி போயிருந்தா. So she's grieving the life she has now and the life she could have had. Opportunity பார்க்கலாம். Subtle difference, but I think it makes a massive difference in her relationship with her husband.
சரி, ஓகே. நான் just side question. இல்ல சேதுபதி பண்ணது கரெக்ட்டா?
I don't think Sethupathi was the husband anything.
Husband இல்ல, but he knows Trisha ஏற்கனவே கல்யாணம் இருக்கு. But தெரிஞ்சு வந்து like he has taken her to his apartment. Again, எதுவும் பண்ணல. Nothing has happened. நீ பண்ணியா உனக்கு வந்து you know some colleague or friend ஓ யாரோ ஒருத்தவங்க வந்து you are saying
த்ரிஷா பண்ணது தப்பு இல்லைன்னு ஒரு ஆங்கிள் பார்த்தா தப்பு இல்லைன்னு சொல்லணும். சேதுபதி பண்ணது தப்பு இல்லை. He wanted the same closure. அவன் வந்து he wasn't home-wrecking. He wasn't going out of his way to harm Trisha or her relationship. He wanted closure. He got it.
Closure again, I don't think you got closure at the end of the day.
They did. அவங்க பாயிண்டே வந்து correct me if I'm wrong. அவன் வந்து சின்ன வயசுல த்ரிஷா பார்க்க போவான். அவன் வந்து அவன் வேற யாரோ பார்த்து கத்துறது எங்க பார்த்து கத்துறன்னு அவன் தப்பா புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு like he leaves prematurely, right?
Okay.
So they didn't know that happened until they met. So they didn't know why they actually broke up.
யாரும் கட்டல. யாரோ பக்கத்துல பொண்ணு.
Regardless, it was a misunderstanding. The whole thing was a big misunderstanding. But those guys never actually knew why they lost touch.
Okay.
So that was the one. என்ன ஆச்சு அங்க அப்படின்னு யோசிக்கிறது. ஸோ அவன் போனதில் ஒரு பாயிண்ட் அந்த இது ஒரு ஃபுல் சர்க்கிள் வந்துடுச்சு. ஓகே, இப்போ எனக்கு தெரியும் at very least like I know what happened. அதனால I can heal and now I can move on. That's Sethupathi perspective. I யோசிச்சிருந்தேன்.
Do you think he got healed?
I think now he has the opportunity to heal, whereas before he wouldn't have.
Right.
ஓகேவா? இப்போ நான் உனக்கே வச்சுக்கோ, இப்போ உனக்கு வந்து உனக்கு ஒரு பிடிச்ச ஒரு வாட்ச் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோ.
ஓகே, நல்ல வேலை. இல்லை எனக்கு பிடிச்சா பொண்ணு இருக்குன்னு சொல்லிட்டு
அதெல்லாம் வாட்ச்க்கு சொல்ல மாட்டேன், நிறைய பேசலாம். உன் வாட்ச் தொலைஞ்சு போயிடுச்சுன்னா அது corner of your mind you'll be like watching அது இருக்குமோன்னு இருக்கும். பட் நான் கண்ணு விட அந்த வாட்ச் போட்டு நான் வாட்ச்னு வச்சுக்கோயேன், you still be very upset, but you know the watch is gone. ஸோ நாளைக்கு போய் இன்னொரு வாட்ச் நீ சந்தோஷமா வாங்கலாம். கரெக்டா? எல்லாம் சே நான் எப்பயா அந்த வாட்ச் வாங்கணும், மேபி அது சோஃபாக்கு இருக்கும், மேபி அதை பெட்டிக்கு இருக்கும்னு யோசிக்கிற அந்த தாட் போயிடும் உனக்கு. அதான க்ளோஷர், அதான ஒரு ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் உனக்கு தேவை. Unfortunately, because of the situation, these guys didn't get that, so they went back together, which I think is okay. But again, it depends on what Trisha's internal monologue was. Was she like, I lost something that I could have had? Or was she like I really don't like my life now, I'm fantasizing about what like should have been, right? The second one's emotional cheating, the first one's just
we'll come back to the emotional cheating part again, but இதுக்கு முன்னாடி கேள்வி சேதுபதி பண்ணது right. So you're saying what is சேதுபதி done?
Trisha பண்ணது debatable, சேதுபதி தப்பே இல்ல. Like it's okay. I think it's justifiable. Yeah.
Justifiable. Okay, fine. சேதுபதி justifiable. So when நீ சொன்ன மாதிரி உட்காந்து it wasn't physical cheating, but you think there might be some scope for emotional cheating?
Might be, yeah.
Is that okay?
No, emotional cheating isn't okay. That's the whole point, right? But like, where do you draw the line? What do you define as emotional cheating?
என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இப்போ you're going to someone else. இப்போ என் பார்ட்னர் வந்து வேற இடக்கிட்டே போயிட்டு வந்து she's like இல்ல ஐயோ நான் உன் கூட நான் டேட் பண்ணல, இல்லை நீ வந்து இன்னும் நல்லா அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங்காக இருக்க என்னை பற்றி. லைக் Trisha போயிட்டு வந்து she didn't complain about her partner. I think if at all she said I have a very loving husband, எல்லாம் நல்லா தான் சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. But at the end of the day she did, எப்படி சொல்கிறேன், என்னை பொறுத்தவரைக்கும் அவள் வந்து ஒரு ஆனால் நான் சொன்ன ஒரு வாட் இஃப் நினச்சி she started getting very emotional about it. ஐயோ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபியூச்சர் நம்ம எடுத்தோமே, இந்த மாதிரி கூட இருந்திருக்கலாமேன்னு சொல்லி உட்காந்து she got.
But again, you don't know that, right?
இல்லை காமிச்சாங்களே.
Oh sure, okay, yeah, okay.
இல்லை அதான் நான் சொல்கிறேன், கடைசியில் வந்து அவன் சொல்கிறேன் இந்த மாதிரி நான் வந்து உங்கள் காலேஜ் இருக்கும் வந்தேன், ஆனால் அந்த சர்க்கம்ஸ்டன்ஸ்னால I was not able to meet you. ஸோ அவ்வளோதான், அதுக்கப்புறம் டச் விட்டு போயிடுச்சு. அவள் வந்து once she hears about that, அவள் வந்து she starts like you know she starts breaking down because of it. That shows like okay இந்த மாதிரி உட்காந்து like she's still emotionally attached to him. like if she இப்போ வந்து நாளைக்கு வந்து இப்போ நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா நாளைக்கு வந்து இப்போ வந்து Trisha or like just someone else, if you are giving a free pass to her in the money, you can leave your husband and daughter விட்டு இந்த மாதிரி நீ அவங்க கிட்ட போலாம் பண்ணலாம் சொன்னா I reckon Trisha would take it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
But that's
not necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do you like what you do, like as a job? So? Do you like playing cricket?
Sure.
Do you enjoy playing cricket?
Match போட போகுது.
விளையாட பிடிக்கும், ஓகேவா? நீ கிரிக்கெட் ரொம்ப வருஷமா ஆடிட்டு இருக்க, கரெக்டா? பட் ஓகே, ஒரு நாள் நான் வந்து பொழுது போல நீ கூப்பிட்டு போறேன் டென்னிஸ் ஆடுறதுக்கு. நீ ஆடுற செம்ம ஃபன்னா இருக்கு. நீ உட்காந்து யோசிக்கிற, சே நம்மளும் பேசாம 10 வயசுல கிரிக்கெட் அதுக்கு டென்னிஸ் ஆடிடலாமே அப்படின்னு யோசிக்கிற. அது தப்புன்னுவியா நீ? அதுக்காக நீ இப்போ கிரிக்கெட் விட்டு டென்னிஸ் போக இல்ல, அதுக்காக இப்படி கிரிக்கெட் விட்டு டென்னிஸ் ஆட போறேன். You might have enjoyed it. There might have been a potential. There was a good what if there, right? But still, you've made a life for yourself in something else, and you're gonna keep doing that. It was just what could have been. I think that type of what if, like, I personally think is very intrinsic to like being human, right? You always have those what ifs. You always be like, what could have been, right? But the whole point of like being like, but it wasn't, and then you move on. Because in any given situation, like you have 1,000 different paths you can go down. But in any kind of one of them, either career or relationship or like family or correct. But like that's a reality. Now the now சொல்றது கிடையாது. உண்மைதானே அது? டென்னிஸ்ல நம்ம போயிட்டு இருக்கோம். இருக்கிற பண்ண ஸ்டஃப்க்கு கிளம்பி போயிடும். சொல்லி தொலைண்டா. What are you trying to say? Tell me. That what ifs exist all the time. சரி. Right? So இது emotional cheating இல்லன்னு சொல்றியா நீ? It doesn't necessarily have to be. Huh? It doesn't have to be. Have to been what? It might not have been emotional cheating. It might have been. Again, we can't speak for internal monologue, but it isn't necessarily emotional cheating. So okay, you don't classify this under emotional. So when you say what is one point, just give us one act. We'll be like, okay, you might find emotional cheating. At any point, do you think she was like, என் புருஷன் பண்ண வேண்டியது என் புருஷன் கூட இருக்கிற ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் நான் சேதுபதி கிட்ட ரீக்ரியேட் பண்ண போறேன்னு அவ யோசிச்சு பண்ண நினைக்கிறாரு. உள்ள புருஷன் இல்லை, அது சேதுபதி அவன் புருஷன் ஆக்குறேன், புருஷன் ஆக்குறேன். அதான் அந்த கிளைமேக்ஸ் அப்போ அதான் சொல்றாங்களே இந்த மாதிரி லைக் இப்போ அதுவே அந்த பொண்ணு வந்து சொல்லியிருந்தா இல்லாட்டி அவங்க 2 பேரும் ஒன்னா இருப்பாங்க. அதெல்லாம் அப்போ யோசிக்கிறாங்க. Again, it's a what if. I don't think she was emotionally cheating unless she sustained some sort of relationship with him where he continued to fill the role of a partner. Otherwise, it's just a what if. Correct தானே? இப்போ நாளைக்கு அவ டென்ஷன் லைக் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஸாக இருக்கா, போய் புஷுகிட்ட சொல்லுவோம் லைக் புஷுகிட்ட அதுக்கு வந்து அவர் சேது வைக்க சொன்னா that's emotional cheating. Okay, right? அவ அதை பண்ண போறதா இல்லையா நீ பாட்டுல தான் பார்த்து கண்டுபிடிக்கும். ஸோ அது வரைக்கும் நமக்கு தெரியாது. அவ அதை தான் பண்ணணும்னு இன்டென்ட் பண்றதா இல்லையாலும் we can't speak to her. So I'm saying what she did doesn't necessarily have had to be emotional cheating. It could have been. That could have been her push. She could have been like, என் புருஷன் நாளைக்கு நான் போய் ஃபீல் பண்ணுறது போது இவரை போய் ஃபீல் பண்ணலாம், என் புருஷனுக்கு நாளைக்கு நான் உட்காந்து பேசுறது போது இவரை டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணேன், என் புருஷன் டேட் பண்ணுறது போது இவரை டேட் பண்ணலாம். அது emotional cheating. Has nothing to do with physical. ஒன்றுனே அவசியம் கிடையாது. பட் அவ வந்து எல்லாமே உட்காந்து எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணான்னு வச்சுக்கோ. இந்த மாதிரி நடந்திருக்கலாமோ அப்படின்னு அவ யோசிச்சுட்டு அது சரி. இப்போ சரி ஓகே, லெட்ஸ் சே இது எமோஷனல் சேஞ்சிங் கிடையாது. I'm just saying இப்போ ஒரு படி முன்னாடி போயிட்டு let's say இப்போ திரும்ப ஊருக்கு போயிட்டு பிறகு now that they had this little interaction for a couple of days, I assume or like let's say that அவங்க 2 பேரும் they stay in touch. Okay, they stay in touch. And then if one like Kendall, Vijay Sethupathi becomes like Trisha's like boy best friend. See, I think that would be like bordering on line of emotional cheating. It depends on their relationship then. And the biggest thing is that why? Are you saying because you can't have a boy best friend when you have a husband, or no? But I think it's unlikely that you can have a boy best friend with someone you used to be in love with while being married. I know a lot of people who like had like a friendship after they broke up with their exes. And there's nothing wrong with it. No, there is nothing wrong with it. But in this specific situation, the whole thing was based off of what if, right? Relationship became yeah. Look, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible, right? I think she would just need to be open with her husband about it. Tell her husband what type of relationship he had with Sethupathi before. And if she can navigate the waters well enough to keep her from being emotional cheating, great, she can. But it would just be a difficult thing to do. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, yeah. இப்போ இதுவே வந்து if I was in Sethupathi Trisha husband shoe நான் இப்போ வந்து நோன்னு சொல்லிடுவேன். ஏன் ஏன்னா
எதுக்கு உட்காந்து அவ்வளோ காம்ப்ளிகேட்டடாக ஒரு இதில் இருக்கணும்?
Sure.
It's going to make it complicated, right? இப்போ வந்து இல்லை இப்போ உனக்கே அந்த சுச்சுவேஷன் வருது உட்காந்து உனக்கு. Will you be, it's all based on trust, right? இப்போ வந்து how long will it be like until what extent like okay இல்லை என் wife வந்து எனக்கு loyal இருக்கா, அவளுக்கு ஒரு boy best friend someone who used to be your ex is now a boy best friend. உனக்கு வந்து இவ்வளோ நாள் வந்து you'll be like okay fine. Don't you think that's going to cause a lot of tension in your relationship?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. Like I've never been in that position.
அதான் இது பேர் hypothetical thoughts.
Now, so learn simple machine. Doing that would be hard. Doing that and maintaining boundaries would be hard, but not impossible is all I'm saying. It depends on what level of like. Sorry, it depends on how hard you think it is. So you probably think it's too hard to work for it to be
too hard. Yeah, it's too hard.
It's too hard for her to be worth maintaining a healthy relationship with you and her like ex.
It's too hard for me to maintain a healthy relationship with my partner.
I think it'd be too hard. Yeah, okay.
With my partner, knowing that she's going with someone who used to have feelings for each other in the past.
Sure, like
not going out, but like maintain such a close relationship for someone who just feelings.
I don't think it's inherently wrong per se. Like
இது தப்போ ரைட் நத்திங் இப்போ நம்ம பேசுகிறோண்டே இல்லை நம்ம நான் வந்து சத்தம் போடுற மாதிரி நம்ம கிடையாது போய்க்க. It's more about speculation. Okay, but நாளைக்கே again I'm not saying இது மாதிரி நடக்கும்னு, but if in case இந்த மாதிரி ஒன்று நடக்குது, God forbid வந்து God forbid இந்த மாதிரி எனக்கு என்னமோ நடக்குது எனக்கு, நான் வந்து இப்போ சொல்றேன் நான் 10 மணி இல்லை மாதிரிலாம் தேவையே இல்லை உனக்கு நானா இருக்கேன்னு சொல்லி உட்காந்து மேனேஜ் பண்ணி சொல்ல
உட்காந்து. Relationships are hard to come by. If she has a good friend and she can maintain that boundary.
ஊரில் வேறு எவ்வளோ ஃப்ரெண்டே
Let's see, friend and chip on my jam. Where do I let you friends? We just have like a good connection with like you can't. I'm gonna go all a friend and answer that. I think that's like a bit of a moot point.
No. Right. நான் ஏன் சொல்றேன்னா because I won't be comfortable. Okay.
And that's entirely fair, and she should respect the fact that you're not comfortable. And the truth is, like, I won't know if I'm comfortable with it or not until it happens. But again, just thinking about it, I don't think there's anything inherently like wrong with it. But then it goes back to the first point I made: emotions are emotions.
சரி, இப்போ நாளைக்கே வந்து okay, நீ இந்த மாதிரி உட்காந்து you're in this kind of arrangement, and then வந்து you somehow ஒரு சண்டை என்னமோ நடக்குது உங்களுக்குள்ள. Okay. அந்த சண்டை நடந்த பிறகு you're like, alright bro, like she didn't say much to you, okay? But at that time, won't you feel okay? Is she going like saying shit about me to like this other guy? Would you have that thought or not?
If she has friends, right, guys or girls, I'm assuming she'll be talking about like us to her.
Girls should not talk to whoever she wants.
What difference does it make? It's a friend.
She never had feelings for the other girl though.
Sure. Again, you're going.
Again, I'm assuming that she's a straight person and Shelly has things for guys.
That's not what I was getting at. It just comes back to how much you trust.
That's what I'm saying. Why even create a situation where, like, you know, how much I trust her even comes into play?
If you trust her enough, it shouldn't matter. And if you don't, then something more serious you have to work on.
Have you ever heard of chaos theory?
What? Explain it. Everything you do is a probability, right? Probability that something's going to happen. So I'm assuming what you're saying is, why create a situation where the probability of her going back to an ex is more? Is that
not going back to ex. It's just more about me. Sort of like when I told you about like when I started this conversation, it's of this part, like where she stays in touch with everybody after going back to her husband. You're like, okay, there's potential for it to be like become borderline emotional cheating suddenly. So I don't know.
Not borderline. There's potential for it to become emotional.
Okay. There's potential for it to become. Why even allow a situation? That's all I'm asking.
I guess, but then you can never eliminate that chance, right? That could happen with any guy, anywhere. Sure, this might be more likely than some other guy, but if you go out of your way to then stop her from doing something, aren't you kind of going against the whole premise? That should be her call, right?
I get it, bro. நான் ஒரே celebrate பண்ணி சொல்றேன். என்ன போட்டு சேர்த்து தங்கமான பையனை பார்க்கலாம். And
as a blessed number அந்த பொண்ணு உங்களுக்கு சொல்றோம். என்னைய பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் this is how it should go in my like in this situation. You put it சொல்றேன். இந்த மாதிரி நான் எக்ஸ் கூட இருந்தேன் இல்ல நான் இப்போ ப்ளூ ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸா இருக்கேன். So I'll be like, okay. நாளைக்கு like say on one hand I'll be like I was like yeah sure. And it goes well, no problem. That's one. On the other hand, like 2 days later I'm like I go back to her, I'm like, nah bro, for some reason it doesn't
for
some reason it doesn't feel right. I mean, sort of. she should be like, okay, I understand that you feel that way. What part of it doesn't feel right? And I reckon if you sit down and have that conversation, 9 times out of 10, you'll get to the bottom of whatever it is that's making you feel wrong. Like, I feel like you're doing too much of this with it when you should be doing it with me. And you should be accommodating for that. So that's something if you keep talking about what's going on and you have somewhat of like an open, good communication, like a decent relationship. I think you can walk yourself like through this without it running into problems. You're right, is it more likely to create problems? Definitely. But so are so many different things. So the better way than to try to eliminate the chance of problems happening is just to have a way to go through more complicated problems, in my opinion. Does that make sense? மச்சி 2 விஷயம் இருக்கு ஓகேவா நீ வந்து ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் தடுக்கிறதுக்கு ப்ராப்ளம் வரதை நம்ம தடுக்க ட்ரை பண்ணலாம் ஓகேவா you can only do so much of that நீ என்ன பண்ணாலும் ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் நடக்க சான்ஸ் இருக்கும் அந்த சான்ஸ் you can try to bring it down as much as you can but that'll be ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் வரும்போது எப்படி சரி பண்ணணும்னு ஒரு வழி நீ கொண்டு வர ட்ரை பண்ணலாம் அதான் ஓப்பன் கம்யூனிகேஷனும் பேசிட்டு இது பண்றது. So as long as you have that second part, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to try to reduce the chances of a problem appearing, in my opinion. So that can be tough.
I think so. The last or anybody. Alright, bro, good. I think we'll try to wrap it up over here. Okay, I think that was a very nice take on society. I think it's a very a lot of people can learn a lot from this conversation.
I'm sure, and look, I'm not cuffed, right? So, I haven't been in these situations.
For people that are not cuffed is a colloquial term for not being in a relationship.
I'm not in a relationship. I haven't been in one for a while, and I don't know how I feel if these things happen. But all I'm trying to say is, as long as you're in touch with what you're feeling, you know what you want. If you need closure, if you know how you feel about different people, you'll always be on the right because you'll know your own right from your own wrong. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's important.
Right. With that Dalai Lama-like quote from Karthik, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the producers of 96 for letting us give you this uncredited promo for your next film.
The director of the episode
Alright, so until another episode of Hypothetical Talks, it's me and Karthik saying goodbye to everyone. Thank you.